Okay, start.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, educators and fellow debaters. Today we are here to discuss for the motion, should the government regulate TikTok and similar platforms strictly? As the first speaker for the affirmative team, I am here to argue that yes, the government should indeed implement strict regulation on platforms like TikTok with a primary focus on protecting user data privacy and security. My central point today is the issue of user data privacy and security. Social media platforms like TikTok collect a vast amount of personal information, including their basic details like names and locations. But not only that, they also collect more sensitive information like browsing habits, content preferences, and facial recognition. For example, a biometric recognition, for example, a facial recognition and voice print. A clear example of this risk came to light in 2019, where the U.S. Federal Trade Commission fined TikTok for $5.7 million. The question is why? The reason is for violating children's privacy law for collecting their information that under the age of 13 without parental consent. This violation demonstrates on how TikTok's potential disregard privacy standards. The size of the fine highlights how serious these issues are, especially for the teens and children who often make up large portion on their data user. Without strict regulation, data privacy risks will continue to exist, with platforms collecting and handling user data without full accountability. Government regulation is essential to enforce stronger data protection standards and provide transparency. I would like to say that the government has a responsibility to protect its citizens, and in today's digital world, this includes ensuring the security of our personal data on social media. The 2019 FTC case shows that platforms like TikTok have mishandled user data, emphasizing the need for strict regulation to safeguard user privacy and prevent misuse. That's all from me. Thank you.
You're absolutely right. I totally agree with you. Frankly, the relevant point that I will present is mental health concern. TikTok's algorithm promotes highly engaging, often adaptive content, impacting users' mental health, especially young users. Regulating content types and implementing time limits could reduce this effect. Promoting healthier use of social media, studies have found that watching TikTok applications for more than 8 minutes can cause negative effect, particularly on mental health. The evidence is statistics from previous studies linking social media with feelings of anxiety and depression are increasing. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa told a parliamentary conference that recently his ministry screened 336,000 people detect depression and anxiety among them, and Kuala Lumpur recorded the highest number of individuals suffering from psychological stress. The impacts is signs of a decline in your mental health may include persistent anger, anxiety, hopeless, despair, and withdrawal. You may also experience insomnia, fatigue, social isolations, and reduced performance at home and work. Finally, I accept that government should regulate TikTok and similar platforms strictly. That's all for me.
Thank you, fellow debaters. I will be the first speaker on the opposing side. Let me start off by saying, while my opponent made a valid point, they failed to address that TikTok and these other social platforms that we know and are commonly used by the majority of people in this modern era are a way for people to express themselves, to share something that they find beneficial and meaningful, a way for them to spread awareness. And of course, by pointing this out, I completely disagree and believe that TikTok and these other social media platforms should not be under strict regulations. Why do I say this? Let me give you an example. I'm sure that all of you have heard of the recent bombings and brutal genocide that happened in Gaza. On February 4th, 2024, two residential towers in Rafah were bombed, part of a series of strikes killing how many people? 127 innocent people. Yes, it was all over the media, on the television, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Now, what do the people who are affected by this do? Of course, they will try their very best to spread awareness and protest these inhumane acts. What about the people who lack in power and incapable to support them physically? Of course, they will use social media. What are the social media platforms? TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, many more. Specifically, TikTok, because it is growing by the day. Now, if the social platforms were to be under strict regulations, it will be difficult for the people who are affected by this act to spread awareness, to protest these horrible acts, and to show their support for the innocent victims. Now, I want you all to bear in mind that this is only one of the many consequences if this regulation were to happen. In addition, other consequences when the government decides to regulate these platforms strictly is that users will be denied their right of free speech. There will be no more motivational speeches or spreading awareness about certain sensitive topics such as suicide or even sharing their talents and arts with other people. Hypothetically speaking, if this would be the outcome, then these platforms, specifically TikTok, will not be something that the people find fun to use and enjoy in their free time, or something that is supposed to be creative. Instead, it will be something people find dull and use only when necessary. That is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my fellow member. This ties into what was being said before earlier about why the government should not regulate TikTok and similar platforms strictly. If we continue down this path, the result will be lead to the potential infringement on platform of speech and expression. TikTok and similar platforms, as we know as social media platforms, have become essential tools for political activism, social movements, and the exchange of ideas, playing crucial role in shaping public discourse and facilitating democratic process. Strict regulation can lead to censorship, which may hinder open discussion and the exchange of ideas, thus stifling the democratic process. Regulation can also result in the suppression of minority voices or unpopular opinions, as powerful entities may use the guise of regulating to silence dissent criticism. By striking the right balance between protecting users from harmful content, preserving the fundamental freedom of speech and expression is a complex challenge. I know some may argue that regulating social media would prevent harmful content from being shared. It is important to remember that censorship is a slippery slope. What may be considered harmful or offensive to some may not be to the others, and regulating would involve making subjective judgments that could lead to censorship and infringement of speech. I beg your pardon, but please bear with me, as we all know TikTok and similar platforms have been used worldwide. For instance, TikTok is the most used social media. Some may use it as a marketplace, creating a content, and even use it to boost about political issue or a campaign. TikTok has, furthermore, TikTok has been helped community to improve the economy. Last but not least, TikTok has been a big help in a criminal issue like the murdering, burglary, and even a kidnapping. To sum up everything, why the government want to regulate it strictly, since they also use it for their own policy and also help community to understand the different to add up. Social media platforms can be complied with laws related to privacy, intellectual property, and defamation. So, in conclusion, social media like the TikTok has been a big, big help to all the community, even the politics. So regulated strictly is not a right issue to do. That's it from me. Thank you.
So my opponent claimed that the government should regulate TikTok and similar platforms strictly due to mental health concerns and user data privacy and security. However, this argument is flawed because the platforms often implement their own moderation policies effectively. Over-regulations may lead to excessive censorship, stifling creativity and expression. Users can also report harmful content promoting community self-regulation. Then the mental health concerns, the impact of social media on mental health varies greatly among individuals. Regulating platforms based on mental health concerns may unfairly penalize those who find positive community support and connection online. Many users are capable of managing their positive community support and connection online. Many users are capable of managing their online experience. Over regulation could undermine personal responsibility and agency, as individuals should have the authority to decide what content they consume and how they engage with the platforms. One relevant study that highlight the complexity of social media impact as TikTok and other similar platforms is the 2021 research published in the journal Nature titled Social Media Use and Mental Health Among Young Adults. This study found that mental health outcomes depends more on personal factors such as personality traits, existing mental health conditions rather than solely on platform use. This study illustrates that mental health concerns related to social media are complex and not uniform. Thus, broad government regulation of platforms like TikTok may not be justified, as the evidence does not support a direct causal relationship between social media use and mental health issues that necessitate such intervention. By ignoring the severe positive impacts on TikTok, my opponent argument are lacks of strong empirical support. It failed to conclude that TikTok also managed to promote user awareness and self-management that can be effective in addressing mental health concerns. I must stress the fact that mental health is an important concern, but government regulation may not be the most effective solution. Fostering user agency, encouraging educational initiatives, and allowing platforms to innovate would be better support mental health without imposing regulations. In conclusion, we have demonstrated our points are more reasonable to comprehend. Regulations can stifle innovation and creativity, hinder user agency, and lead to unintended consequences that may worsen the very issue they aim to mitigate. As my colleague already mentioned, free speech enhance the platform features that can be proven more effective in fostering a healthy online environment. By focusing and empowering users and encouraging responsible platforms practice rather than imposing blanket regulations, we can better support individuals while allowing for the diverse benefits this kind of platform can provide. How can we ignore the evidence that TikTok has created many speakers that contribute many positive outcomes due to their creative content? So that is all from me.
Okay, thank you to all the previous debaters for sharing their viewpoints. And as for my part, I have to agree and support from the affirmative side because due to their reasons, it is rational. And as we all heard, both sides present valid arguments regarding the regulation of TikTok and also similar platforms. And the affirmative, they emphasizes the need for user protection and accountability, while the negative side highlighted concern about free speech and also innovation. So this debate ultimately hinges on finding a balance between safety and freedom in an increasingly digital world. And as for governments focus on national security threats, there is also growing public concern regarding the potential impact of the application on youngsters. And according to the news that I have researched, New State Times, there is a significant majority of TikTok users in Malaysia that fall within the age range between to 18 to 34, comprising over 17% of the total user base. And as we all know, the famous Khairi Jamaluddin, a visiting senior fellow at the ISEAS Yusof Ishak Institute in Singapore, has briefly touched on the study of facing TikTok in his podcast recently, where he characterized the issue is as a facet of a technological and also geopolitical war. And Khairi Jamaluddin, however, he suggested that the criticism of TikTok in the US might be influenced by its status as a Chinese-owned company. So, to summarize, in order to secure user privacy and protect youngsters, the government ought to impose strict regulations on TikTok and its comparable sites, such as we know Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat and so on. So these platforms, they have extensive collection of personal data present serious risk, such as the possibility of misuse and also data breaches. And people, they can utilize these sites without worrying about being exploited if the government enforces strict standards that guarantee user data is handled securely and also openly. And also in the current digital environment, protecting children is a top priority. So since young people, they represent a significant proportion of TikTok's user base. Like stringent laws can enforce age restrictions and encourage the creation of a safer material. And this also could address the rising of mental health issues that link to social media use, in addition to protecting youngsters from offensive content. So, in short, regulating TikTok and related platforms is a crucial thing to ensure a safer online space where users, particularly minors, as well as other vulnerable groups, can flourish without exposing their privacy or even their well-being. And in our increasingly digital society, it is also an obligation of the government to intervene and also establish a framework that places a high priority on user protection. So TikTok has now sparked concern not only among governments worldwide but also among the general public over the issue of data privacy. Okay, so that's all from us. Thank you.